Hello and welcome back to the Zero Experience. Oftentimes completely confused and lost and abandoned and alone and no idea what I'm doing. Van build.
Well, this is getting weird.
Cue the music. So today we are going to start on the floor. I think it's going to take me a lot longer than just a single afternoon or evening, but we will see. Everything always seems to take a little bit longer than you anticipate, and oftentimes a lot longer than you anticipate. But the gist of what we're doing today is cleaning it out, making templates of the wheel wells and possibly other parts of the van in order to then be able to cut out the shape for the floor out of the insulation, which is rigid foam board. Foamular 1/2 inch by 4 by 8, and then also the same thing, the same cutouts on some plywood, because ideally it all goes in together. And then after all of that is done, after the template is cut out, and after everything is cut and fitted and made sure that it works, I take it all back out, and then I fill the corrugations in the bottom of the van with tons and tons of little strips of Foamular, which are going to take a long time to cut out in and of themselves as well. So let's get started. Lesson number 1, wear your gloves when handling plywood or suffer the splinters. All right, so we have our template. You look like an angel. For the wheel wells, in order to be able to use this to cut the shape on the large sheets of Foamular and plywood to be able to fit around the wheel wells. There are a couple of other smaller places within the van. I don't think I'll create templates for them. I'll probably just measure them out because they're about 4 or 5 inches by 4 or 5 inches. Little pillars and stuff sticking out. But this is for the wheel wells. Pretty rough, but it'll do because the idea is to put the foam and the plywood, the shape of the floor of the van, but about 1 inch away from any of the walls, and then fill that with an expanding foam type solidifying material, and then cut that so that it's flush with the van. And then that provides the surface for putting the vinyl on top of all of that. The thing that I'm trying to figure out now is what to do about the space between the cab where the black plastic stops and the white of the van begins. I'm thinking that I just have to do the floor all the way to the black plastic, which is going to require a bunch of little pieces put here and there. And then I'm not sure how I'm going to make it meld into the cab. I actually haven't seen how people do that yet, but I guess I'll figure something out. So we got all of the shape of the floor cut out, both from the Foamular, from the rigid foam board, and also from the plywood, as you can see behind me. It took forever and my back really hurts, but I think we're gonna pick up tomorrow and do the last piece before we can start assembling it all, which is the slivers of Foamular. They're gonna go between the corrugations, and then the already pre-fitted Foamular solid pieces go on top of that, and then the plywood goes on top of that. And between the Foamular and the metal of the floor goes 3M77 or 3M78. Don't use 3M90, which is what we use for the walls, because apparently it attacks Foamular. XPS is what it's called. extruded poly something.
Yes, science!
And then between the Foamular and the other Foamular, I think we'll also do, or I think we'll do silicone.
It is decided.
In order to reduce squeaking. And then between the wood and the Foamular, I think we'll do silicone as well to again reduce squeaking. And then around the edge we'll go those the gaps and cracks, the expanding stuff. Then we'll cut that off and then it'll be ready for vinyl. We're not going to put vinyl on it yet because there's a lot more work to do and I don't want to scuff it up for no reason. But that'll be almost the floor almost completely done. We're going to put a rim around the edge, kind of like you see, I can't think of an example right now, but you see them sometimes and you don't notice them. They're little metal kind of striations or little metal pieces with striations on them that go on the edges of steps and as you would have it, as it would have it, as nature would have it, as God would have it.
That escalated quickly.
And then here on this exposed metal, I think I'm gonna put some of that like turf, like the brown, very rough that you see in rugs in front of homes for you to wipe your feet off. I think that'd be nice here, and then also in the sliding door. Yeah, I'm excited.
Are you sure about that?
Got more done than I thought I was capable of doing yet again. Maybe that's the lesson of this whole thing. See you tomorrow. This may be my proudest achievement yet in my life. Holy crap, was that tedious. And my back hurts so bad, but that's okay. We're almost done. I've filled pretty much every corrugation in the bottom of the van with the Foamular 1/2 inch. The 1/2 inch Foamular definitely sticks up pretty substantially above the corrugations, which are supposedly 0.4 inches. Whatever the correct way of saying that, 4/16, 4/10, 2/6, I don't know.
Yes, science!
Anyway, I don't anticipate a problem because I've read about people who do the same thing, and although they don't like the idea that there is a gap, because you do technically waste a tiny bit of space in the van, they don't mention any sinking or nubs in the floor or potholes or whatever you might call them, where the floor has sunk to those grooves. They don't mention that, so I don't anticipate there being a problem. The next step is to take 3M77 or 78 if you have it. Apparently it works. 3M78 is the best one, but I don't have that and it would take several days to get to me. So if this completely destroys everything, I might take a couple days off from the van build and maybe, you know, go into meditative retreat to recover or something. I don't know, or drugs and alcohol.
Oh, would you look at this? Oh, he's so handsome. Look at him. Just look at him.
So we basically finished the floor yesterday. We put all of the different cutouts that we'd made the day before into their places and then held them down in wherever we wanted them to be at the final position. And then sprayed different adhesives, used different silicone to attach each one to each other, applying pressure and trying to distribute the weight. And then we went around the edge with gaps and cracks, expanding foam. I'm gonna need another can of that because I didn't actually have enough to sufficiently fill the gaps. And also I see other issues. For instance, I'm sitting on a massive one right now, trying to act like it's not a big deal, but also trying to panic on the inside and figure out what in the world I'm gonna do other than rip it all out and start over.
Oh, what a drama queen.
The wood seems to have warped, but it wasn't in the sunlight, so maybe just the heat caused it to warp. I don't know. I think I may not have put enough silicone underneath it, which kind of sucks because I definitely had enough, but I just didn't use enough. Anyway, I'm sure problems like this were bound to arise, but floor is almost finished. And then other than that, we almost have a complete floor, which is pretty exciting. I wish it had been flawless, but as I said before, almost everything in this van build so far has just been a lesson in realizing that no plan survives contact with the enemy, or whatever variation of that you subscribe to. Pretty exciting though. So I'm gonna take out these weights and see if any more of the floor is coming up, and then try to address this issue. Yet another part of the van build almost done. Oh, I forgot to mention, I also am going to get some wood filler, I think it's called, or wood something, like wood, I don't know what it is. Anyway, to fill in the seams between the boards, because eventually when I put vinyl over the top of this, apparently when vinyl can get, when vinyl gets warm enough, and maybe even not, it doesn't even need to be warm, but generally vinyl will find cracks and crevices and then fill them, and then you'll be able to see and feel that on the surface of the vinyl, and it won't be smooth and flat. So considering I have seams that are going to run in main areas that are visible and not everything is going to be hidden, then I need to fill that with the wood stuff, whatever it's called, and then just scrape it down so it's flat, but fill in the seams, and then it'll be ready for vinyl. Right after some more gaps and cracks on the edge, and after I figure out that hideous raising board that I have no idea what to do about. But you gotta figure stuff out. Nothing can be perfect unless you pay someone to do it, but we're not gonna do that. I went ahead and reapplied some silicone and also tried to get some 3M77 deeper under there. I think I just went way too light with the silicone. I also was just remembering, once the furniture is in, that should weight down the corners, which is what are having trouble right now, but I don't want to rely on that. So hopefully this, in about 24 hours, I'm going to give it a while to sit and not move anything. Hopefully this will set, this will stay, and then once the furniture is installed, that will just hold it for time immemorial, hopefully. This is the moment of truth. Is the floor going to stay in place when I lift up the weight that was been holding it down? Hopefully the extra adherent that I stuck in there has fixed this. But I've been waiting, I think 3 days in fear that when I lift this up, the floor is also going to bow up. Oh well, here we go. You know, I completely forgot I'm not wearing a shirt. Just deal with it. Well, this part looks okay. This part looks good. I definitely went the hardest here with the silicone and the 3M77 spray adhesive, but I can already hear in the back, I think it just lifted up when I picked up the last kerosene or propane container. I think I could hear it lifting up, so let's go check that out. Yeah, the back floor, the back corner right here is bowing upward. I guess what I can do, the same thing I did on that side where I lifted it as much as I dared and then just siliconed the crap out of it and then let it sit for a couple of days. That seemed to work over there. So I'm gonna try it here too. And hopefully that works. Hopefully I don't have to tear up too much. And we're back. And I found a shirt. I went and grabbed a can of silicone from a tube from the hardware store. They only had black left, as in the coloring, but since it's gonna be underneath the floor, underneath the vinyl, behind things, I think that's fine. So I'm just gonna see what happens. I'm gonna silicone the crap out of this like I did up in the front, adding an edge and everything. Probably use the whole tube, we'll see, most likely. And then also maybe 3M77 down deeper if I can. So let's get started. All right, looks like there's a little bit of give. It doesn't make any noise, just a tiny little bit of noise, but there is a little bit of give, as in the floor kind of comes up and down a little when you step on it. I'm doing the best I can.
Stop making fun of me!
The back is much better. There's barely any give at all. In fact, I don't think it would actually qualify as give compared to what the front does. So that makes me happy. The back turned out a little better, which makes sense because it's just one straight line and two pieces instead of three pieces and a lot of different lines going on, including the curve of the van. So it makes sense that this one would be a little bit better. The next thing I'm going to do is cut around the edges with the utility knife. Hopefully that makes a more or less flush or flat surface on the expanding foam that's all around the edges, so the vinyl can go right on top of that. And then I'm going to build the electrical system. Roof rack's coming soon. Roof rack, which means solar panels, solar controller, batteries, then probably alternator hookup, vinyl floor at some point in there, starting to do supports, ceiling, lights, etc. Pretty exciting. In case you couldn't tell, that was incredibly tedious, and I'm not really sure. One, I don't think I did it right. I think when I sprayed it, I don't know, but we'll see. It's not very clean, it's not very even. It's not what I expected it to be. I think I might have used something the wrong way or used the wrong thing even completely, which is totally expected. But it shouldn't be bad because every one of these edges will be covered in furniture anyway. So everywhere the foam is, there will be cabinetry or bed or desk or something over it. So you'll never see the corners, but it might make the vinyl look weird because it would sink in a little bit in some places where it's just completely not flush. But anyway, I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna run some wood filler or something. I got it over there in the cracks between these seams. And then that should be good for the floor for now until I get the vinyl and the stair edging. And yeah, that's it. We didn't have to tear it out. That's great. Alright, I really have no clue if I'm doing this right or not, but my goal was to fill the cracks, and that's kind of what's happening. I tried at first using like a metal file, a metal flat trowel almost, except I don't have a trowel, to work it in, but that was really abrasive, and this stuff is kind of like Play-Doh. As you can kind of see, it rolls up. So then I tried putting it in individually with my fingers kind of like this, and that didn't work. And what I figured out was if you put some on your fingers and you do a circular pattern like this and just go over and over and over, it'll fully fill the crack and rub in all of the extra that's on the edge and kind of smooth it out. So this is the best way I found how to do it yet. I'm going to sand this down because there's a little bit of silicone coming through, and then we'll finish this. Well, there we go. That's pretty much the floor done, other than the vinyl and the stair edging. Geez, this was a lot bigger of a task than I anticipated. I think it's going to take me a lot longer than just a single afternoon or evening, but we will see. I think we're on like 7 days now, or 6 days of tiny adjustments and trying to salvage something there and inserting more there, and we'll try to order up the vinyl pretty soon and then put it in here and put the stair edging on, which will make it one solid piece. And then we should have a floor, which is pretty dang exciting. All right, guys, peace out. I gotta go wash my hands.